Thanks be to you, O God. You've given us so much more than our daily bread. We're grateful. Help us to share that we might be blessings as well. Amen. So while we're on the subject of thanking, I want to thank Brenda Merrill. Is she in here? Brenda Merrill, for her tireless work on the stewardship campaign. Honestly, Brenda does an amazing job year after year and practically single-handedly. This year, Delilah was an enormous help. She and Brenda made this beautiful tree of blessings possible. We owe them a great debt of gratitude. It isn't easy to come up with themes for our season of giving year after year. Every year we try to find an image that will inspire you to give with a grateful heart and with a smile on your face, because God loves a cheerful giver. Apparently, I'm not very good at this kind of advertising because nobody liked my idea. I just wanted to give out free t-shirts with a straightforward request, just free t-shirts to everyone who increased their giving with just one. Well, I'm wearing mine. I just thought we should say, you know, I upped my pledge. Up yours. But no. I'm grateful for your spirit of laughter. I also want to thank Tawana Mitchell-Jones and DJ for lovingly preparing and providing all the bread that you're going to take home with you today to bless your families and friends around your table. This bread was made with loving gratitude. So much happens here behind the scenes, just people giving in love. Someone once told me that Thanksgiving was her favorite holiday because she got to see all the people that she really loved and she didn't have to buy them anything. How many of you will get together with at least one other person to break bread on Thanksgiving? Hold your hand up really high. Now look around. If you see somebody whose hand is not up, invite them to your dinner table. It is an American tradition to spend this day with family and friends, to eat too much, to watch football, to prepare to shop the sales. Whatever your tradition includes, I hope your Thanksgiving is everything you hope it will be. And I hope you'll remember to keep God at the center of it, because that is how the day came into being, a day to give thanks to God for our many blessings. The word Eucharist is used by some traditions to describe the meal we call communion or the Lord's Supper. And the word Eucharist is the Greek word that means to give thanks. It just means to give thanks. So in the name of Christ, I bless this bread and I offer it to you and to your families and friends that you might take it home and engage in a little ritual of thanksgiving at your table. I hope that you'll take the bread and pinch off a piece and say what you're thankful for and hold it so everyone can speak, and listen carefully to the blessings they share, and then give thanks as you eat this daily bread made in love together. Today is Harvest Sunday. It's the culmination of our giving season. And so I want to thank God for you and for the seeds that you plant into this ministry. Week after week, you show up here and you leave a little bit of yourself. You sow something of your time and your gifts into this church, and souls are changed. Lives are made new. The world is made better by the things that you do and the gifts that you bring and offer here. So I want to thank you for that. And some of you may not know it, but this community church is responsible for 100% of the ministry we do in this community. We don't have a diocese or a district who sows money into our ministries here. It all comes from the grassroots, from you and from me and from what God has sown into our lives that we're willing to give back to God. So this church exists today, right now today, because of the things that you are doing. So thank you for that. In a few minutes, I'm going to invite you to come forward and bring your pledge cards and your leaves with your words of hope or blessing. Do you know that it's okay to give thanks to God for something you haven't received yet? This is in the Bible. Words of hope or blessing are always appropriate on Thanksgiving. So write your words, and we'll have a chance to hang them on the tree. You'll bring your pledge card forward and put it in the basket at the end of our service today, and you'll hang your leaves on the tree. We will pray about this tree of blessing throughout our time of giving, and then you'll take home, if you choose, some bread to celebrate the Eucharist at your table. Anyone who returns a pledge card today with their name on it, regardless of the size of the gift, it will be your name will appear in our page of blessing. We like to publicly acknowledge those who sow into our ministry. So if you do not want your name published, please do let us know that on your card. As I count my blessings this year, I give thanks for all of you. I count some of you twice. The many gifts you bring, the love you share, the work you do, the seeds you sow inspire me and lift me up and give my life meaning. The light you shine and the way that you serve God and one another blesses me and keeps me going. I'm so grateful for all that you are and do. Now, the Buddhists have a saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So how blessed we are now to have a teacher like Susan Howell, who has given so freely of herself to this congregation. She shares what she shares from her own lived experience. She practices the principles that she professes in her own life, and she has prepared a few words of hope and blessing for us this morning. So without further ado, I ask you to help me welcome Susan Howell.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Okay. So Reverend Meg asked me to say something about giving, and I spent some time thinking about this because it is a very important subject to me. So I'm going to share my thoughts on it. So when they asked me, I was happy to share my thoughts on giving because it's something I hold dear to my heart. I chose to write the words Friday morning while I was in my backyard, a place of inspiration where there's flowers and trees and caterpillars and butterflies, and it's a daily reminder to me of God and His giving, abundance, and creation right in my own backyard. The weather was glorious, if you remember Friday. There was a coolness in the air, so I was drinking my coffee on my garden bench, thinking about what to write, and a pair of cardinals came in right as I was preparing what I was going to write, and they're one of my favorite birds. So it was almost like God was kind of winking at me, and I feel His presence deeply, and in nature is one of the places I feel His presence deeply. So I want to go to Matthew 6:21 that says, "For where your treasure is, there will be your heart also." To me, giving opens up my heart, and it lets me experience the beauty of letting go of something of value, which is money, in faith, to know that I have enough and my gift is going to help someone. It lets me be bigger than myself, and it lets me be part of God's greater plan. Giving to me is empowering in the best way. It lets you let go of something and you grow because you let go, and I think that's beautiful. It's also a way to express thankfulness and gratitude for all the blessings in my life and for life itself, which is God's amazing gift to us. Miami Shores Community Church has been an important part of my life for over 20 years. I've raised my son in the church, Will. Many of you know him. The church has been a home to me, a place of peace and comfort, and I want to give to this church that it can continue to be a place of peace and comfort for God's grace now and in the future. A church needs monetary gifts from its congregants to survive and thrive. Along with being a place of spirituality, it is also a physical building and grounds that need care, love, maintenance, and money to continue. So I want a portion of my monetary gifts to go to Miami Shores Community Church to help continue to do that. I come to you today asking that you will do the same from a place of generosity and abundance, because with God's grace in our life, we always have enough to share. So I'm going to I then looked up in dictionary.com the meaning of abundance. And abundance is defined as two things, which I thought was interesting: overflowing fullness, and also as affluence or wealth. So to me, true wealth must include giving, because if you don't, you stop the flow. We stagnate, and we never really know what overflowing fullness is. So I think dictionary.com got it right, that to have true wealth and affluence, you must also have a sense of overflowing fullness, which causes us to share our gifts. There is something about giving freely with no expectations that opens our heart and also causes blessings to flow back to us. I think it's a universal truth. I think that's one of the ways it works. If you hold on too tightly, you upset the balance of giving and receiving. Because if you think about it, we all give and receive throughout our lives. It's just the way it works. You can't have one without the other. In 2 Corinthians 9, verse 9, God writes, "And God is able to bless you abundantly, so that in all things, at all times, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work." And in Psalm 65, verse 11, it is written, "You crown the year with your bounty, and your cart overflows with abundance." God is abundant, and through him, we have abundance to share. I know there are periods in everyone's life where it seems like times are tough or we don't have enough, but with God's grace, we always find a way to get through. I think that even in times of concern, or maybe especially in times of concern, we must give something, because in giving, we are acknowledging our trust in God and that ultimately we know it's going to be okay. There is always something to be thankful for. I truly believe that. And to me, giving acknowledges this, that even if I'm not feeling in the best place, if I give, it acknowledges that I trust in God. Giving is powerful. It says to me, "God, I trust you, lead me." John 7, verse 38 says, "Whoever believes in me, as Scripture said, rivers of living water will flow from them." God speaks of flow, and to me, giving is a natural part of that flow. Brenda Merrill, who we spoke of earlier, the chair of the stewardship committee, spoke of our church being a tree of blessings in the pledge drive letter she sent to church members. She beautifully stated that our care and support for our church will sow the seeds of love, tolerance, and acceptance in our community and our world. I want to be a part of that, and I'm sure you all do too. As in a world that can be so turbulent and unaccepting to many, to me, the Miami Shores Community Church is a place of peace, acceptance, and refuge. Brenda also talks about gardening in her pledge letter, and that the very act of tending to a plant or a garden is a blessing in and of itself. I'm a butterfly gardener, and I know this to be true. I know that the little plant that I plant one day will, the plant acts as the host or the nectar plant for the butterflies, the bees, and the other pollinators, and my act of doing the planting starts the life cycle of possibly generations of pollinators to come, which we need. To me, it's another example of how we're all connected, and if you look around everywhere, especially in nature, the examples abound everywhere. Brenda also says that we know it may be many years before we see the fruits of the tree we have planted, but we know that one day our children will take respite under its growing canopy and have their hunger satisfied by this fruit. I know the gifts of previous congregants and generations are what's allowed me to be standing here today in this house of worship. It is our responsibility, I think, and I think it's a joyful responsibility, to continue to grow this tree of blessings for ourselves, but also for future generations. So I'm going to borrow Pastor Meg's words when we were speaking about this the other day, and she said it's like we're leaving a legacy of love. So money, to me, in and of it is an inanimate object. We choose how to use money, and therefore we choose what money brings into our lives. Letting go through giving is a beautiful concept, because by letting go, we create space for abundance to flow into our lives and the lives of others. As Meg said, I have a business called FinRe FinFree, which teaches that financial responsibility equals financial freedom. In my monthly budget, I always, every month, designate a line item for giving. I believe that giving is part of the equation that equals financial responsibility and ultimately equals financial freedom. We are all connected. We are all walking through this life together. So to me, to give is natural and it's responsible and it's an integral part of having freedom. In Galatians 5, verse 14, the Bible reads, "For the entire law is fulfilled in keeping this one command, love your neighbor as yourself." There's one, I'm almost done, but I wanted to mention something else because Pastor Meg and I were talking about this the other day, and we don't talk about this often, and sometimes I think people don't like to talk about money and death and those two things combined, but it's an important concept to think of, that there's another way that we give. I'm a member of the Pilgrim Society, which is, as are several people in this church, and all that means is that we've decided to leave a portion of our estate when we pass to the church. It's that simple. It doesn't have to be a specific dollar amount. It's just we choose to leave something to the church. And so, I'm sorry, I lost my place here. I think that it's important to do because we have to approach that. And everybody, I don't know, and I'm not here to lecture on finances, but everybody should at least have a will. And to me, I don't want to leave everything I have to one person. I want to spread the wealth, and I want to spread part of the wealth to this church because this has been my home for so long. So it's just something to think about if you've never given it, thought about it. And our church also contributes $400 up to the creation of a will if the church is left as one of your beneficiaries. And I don't know who knows that, so I thought this might be a good time to point that out. So for me, the choice to put the church as a beneficiary in my will was an easy one because God is integral in my life, and this church is the place that I commune with God and community. So I want to leave a part of my legacy to this church. And as many of you know, Michael Grumbowski, who is a fellow church member and a personal friend of mine, recently passed away unexpectedly. He was a member of the Pilgrim Society, and I miss Michael very much, and I know if he was here today, he could share some words of wisdom on this topic, but I feel like today he's speaking to us from above because he left something to the church. He left his legacy of love. So thank you to Michael, and if anybody's interested in that, just talk to Pastor Meg and she can explain it in more detail. So to finish up on my thoughts on giving, I could go on the subject. I know I've been speaking for a while. I would like everyone to reflect and look at God for guidance and opening your heart to the flow of abundance and God's grace as you make your annual pledge to the Miami Shores Community Church. I ask you to give in gratitude, peace, and love, and to make your gift part of our bigger whole. We're hoping for 100% participation in pledging, so no matter what you can pledge, and no matter what your financial situation is, every dollar counts and it's appreciated. And I ask, may God bless us all, and may this be a year of abundance and growth for all of us. Thank you.
This is why I need a step stool, y'all, right here. Thank you, Susan. That was wonderful, beautiful. And now we're going to hear from Donna Lane Downey.